Hi everybody, good afternoon. This is Father David, and I'm from St. Andrew's Episcopal Church here in San Antonio, Texas. From San Antonio, Texas. And this is your 12-day noon prayers, and it's about 12:05, so if you're waiting patiently for 5 minutes, thank you very much. This will take about 5 minutes to talk and maybe a couple minutes to pray, and then we'll be done for the day. So one of the things that's been important to me recently is simply that how important it is to try and find a way to be centered and to find a way to connect with this higher power. And the reason it's so important, especially for some people, is that the world is a very tough place, and life is quite difficult. And unless you have a place or a platform to stand on, or as the psalmist would say, a rock on which we can stand, then makes life so difficult. So for instance, a couple of reasons why we need this rock to stand on, this platform, this centering point to remain on. A couple of the reasons are this. One is everybody needs some kind of forgiveness about every level. It's almost like you have to forgive at so many levels. So for instance, there's I need to forgive myself for all the shortcomings in my own life, my own still immaturities and ignorances and triggers, things that get me off track and uncentered. That's just who I am as a person. That's who everybody is as a person. And of course, everybody knows, we're trying to do the best we can, but still we're not anywhere near perfection. So there's always some ambiguity and some always a need for forgiveness and compassion from God, which is why we need that platform to be able to go to recenter, or that anchor to go within, to touch on. Because we know within ourselves, like St. Paul would say, the very thing I want to do, I don't do. And so that's just critical for us as individuals to be able to recenter and feel the divine compassion and the divine acceptance of our own shortcomings. Then another reason we need this platform, this center to anchor ourselves on, the rock of our salvation, this contemplative awareness of God within is, there's so much, we would call it evil in the world, or suffering caused by larger entities like, corporations or systems or governments. Could be a myriad of things. And as much as we try to be aware of them and try to reform them and make them better entities, still we participate in them, and I get benefits from them. And it's almost impossible to get out of the web of sometimes brokenness. So for instance, suppose I want to do something good for climate change and put a little less carbon dioxide in the air. Well, my situation is that I had to, first I bought a bicycle, but then I needed to give a friend of mine to work in the morning because I didn't want them to get COVID on the bus. So instead of having just 2 cars in my house, now I use 3 cars. So because of COVID, it's messing up the climate change problem, and I can't help it. And I'm stuck in the web of, situations in life. We all participate in the brokenness of the world. Not only do we participate in our own brokenness, we participate in, and you cannot get detached completely from systems and situations in the world that are not good, and still we have to be a part of them. That's why we need to go to that centering place and just feel and know God's forgiveness, God's mercy, God's understanding, and and surrender to just divine love, because there's so many systems we have to participate in. For instance, every time I eat a hamburger, which isn't very often anymore, but every time I eat a hamburger, which at McDonald's I usually do when I'm hungry on the spur of the moment, driving around somewhere, I participate in that whole system of making food, which includes all kinds of industrial farming or industrial livestock, and animals are just grown as fast as they can in artificial settings so that they can be killed as soon as they are fat enough and shipped off to McDonald's. I think, oh, I'm hungry and I need some food, but why do I have to eat the food that comes from that source? It's such a nasty source, nasty system to be a part of. But I do. So, just an example of many, many systems that we are just a part of. We don't live in a utopia, and we don't live separate from the world. We are in the world. And so we participate in and sometimes benefit from and can't really detach from all of the entanglements of a fallen world, you'd say. So finally, there are those things in the world that at any one particular moment you or I just cannot change. We know about them, but there's nothing we can do about them. So you see brokenness and you see difficulties in the world that you would like to change. You would like to, show some compassion or mercy or reform. Sometimes you can even get excited and pick up the mantle, as some people should, of reformer and changer and protester and work on something. But so many times there's nothing you can do. Really, there's nothing you can do. You are powerless. It's like the people who run the 12-step programs. This is the part of the prayer when they say, those things which we cannot change, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. And that is a lot of things. A lot of things. So, I don't mean this to be a downer, I just mean this to be realistic. And just to say, name it, name this is true. There's stuff I cannot change, there's stuff I maybe could change, but I still participate in, and there's my own personal, flaws and personal weaknesses and personal immaturities that are still a part of my life. So which is why I need God's forgiveness, mercy, compassion, endlessly, always, and just you need to fall back into that divine understanding, compassion, acceptance, that infinite love. We say that in our prayers at the beginning of the Thanksgiving prayer. We say, in your infinite love, you made us for yourself. In your infinite love. We just have to depend on that. That's a faith thing, a trust thing. We have faith and we trust in this infinite love that can fill in all the gaps, fill in all the broken places that we cannot ever put back together. Well, thanks for listening. When you come to those broken places in your life or in the world or in the larger scheme of things, when you come to them and you're stuck with them, try to find the divine mercy within you. Go to that place inside where Christ dwells, where you find mercy within mercy within mercy. And like a nesting doll, everything you open up is just more mercy, more mercy, more mercy. Let's begin our prayer time. This is a little exercise of going within, leaving the outside behind for about 2 minutes, and we simply remember who we are in our truest self. We remember who God is, and we center ourselves in this divine presence.
For many of us, this moment feels chaotic and terribly stressful. Join us for a few moments to turn inward and connect to your innermost you. Gently close your eyes and feel the gentleness of breath inside your body as you repeat these words. My deepest me is love. My deepest me is whole. My deepest me is limitless. My deepest me is infinite. My deepest me is compassion. My deepest me is sacred. My deepest me is mystery. My deepest me is forgiveness. My deepest me is beauty. My deepest me is God. My deepest me has knowledge to give. I open my heart and listen.
So everybody, thanks for spending a little time with me today. Your 12-day noon prayers will be on Monday through Thursday as always. There's evening prayers tonight at 7:30 if you'd like to pray the more official and liturgical prayer book style of evening prayer before you go to bed. So take God's mercy with you and be blessed and go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Goodbye, everybody.